What's good? It's your boy Jay. That's me. Let's get into NXT Gold Rush Week 1 for June the 20th, 2023. This show was lit. This show was decent. It was. I thoroughly enjoyed the show. There are a couple bad decisions made here and there, but for the most part, this show kicked ass. I enjoyed it. I'm not going to hold you up. I enjoyed it. Most of the show was pretty solid. Very solid. So, we kicked the show off with a video package hyping up most of the matches on the show, and that over the next 2 weeks, all the championships are going to be on the line. So from there, we go into our first match of the night, which is for the NXT North American Championship, that being Tyler Bate versus Wes Lee, with special guest referee Mustafa Ali. So in the end, there was a little ref bump, and Ali helped both guys to their feet. So towards the end of the match, Wes Lee hits the cardiac kick for the 1, 2, 3. Because there's this one spot where Tyler Bate and Wes Lee fell from the apron to the floor, and they were out for a little bit. Now, there was no heel turn. That pissed me off, but it's fine. I do see them turning Tyler Bate heel. I do see that happening. I do. I just wish they would have done it now versus continuing to prolong it instead of just going ahead and just go all in. But it was an okay match to start off the show. Next, we get a good little video package of Gigi Dolan. It's really talking about how she loves bright art and how it motivates her and blah, blah, blah. She looked really good in this video. Really good. Really sexy. I'm like, damn, she bad. Ooh, wait. Moving on. So Mackenzie mentions she's backstage with Kiana James. Kiana James goes on ranting about how she has ambition and Gigi needs to grow up. Kiana says she was also reckless when she was young, but she grew up and focused on success. Kiana then says Gigi can just keep swimming in the pool of mediocrity. So, I like this. I'm glad they're continuing this little feud. I do see them having a match at the Great American Bash. They have a good 5 weeks? Maybe 6 weeks. I think we got a good 6 weeks. Because that's July 30th, if I'm not correct. I mean, if I am correct. Yeah, I am. It's July 30th. So they could build that up for a legit match, you know? Instead of just giving it to us on a random episode of NXT, just go ahead and build up the match. And that would be solid to have maybe 6 matches on the card and maybe have 2 women's matches. One being for the NXT Women's Championship and the other one just being a solid women's feud. And I think that would be great, you know? So, here's to they push this feud and we get the first match at Great American Bash. Hopefully that's what they go with all of this. If not, it is what it is. Like if we happen to get it on a random episode of NXT, I won't complain and be mad. I really won't. But I hope they do continue to build this thing, because there could be money in this feud. You know, Gigi needs something desperately bad. And Kiana James has lost a little bit of steam as well. Moving on. So, we see a little hype video. I mean, we see a little bit of what happened with Seth Rollins and Finn Balor on Monday Night Raw. Vic Guthrie says he might not be 100%, but he's cleared to compete tonight. Moving on. So, JSU, we're getting ready for the pep rally for Thea Hale. So, Duke Hudson, he's holding his MVP trophy. He hypes up Thea Hale and how she will become the youngest NXT Women's Champion. So, the ring is decked out in large photos of Hale on display. So, it's pretty cool. Duke, he introduces Thea Hale. She comes out with the other JSU students, as well as Drew Gulak and Charlie Dempsey. Thea Hale gets a big pop. So she goes on about how she just graduated high school last year and didn't want to go to college. She only wanted to be where she is now. She wanted to be in WWE. So Dempsey and Drew Gulak can't believe that Thea Hale just graduated high school. Like, guys, she been told us this, like, over a year ago. Like, even when she first came in, she was just graduating high school. Like, that's common sense. So Duke tells him that this is a pep rally, guys. Relax. Thea Hale goes on and gives shouts out to Duke and Mr. Andre Chase. He's at home watching, so she thanks Dempsey and Gulak for teaching her what she needs to give to Tiffany Stratton next week, which is a Chase U-sized ass whooping next week. Out comes Tiffany Stratton. She knocks the pep rally and goes on about how Thea Hale got lucky in the Battle Royal, but that won't happen next week. Then Duke Hudson defends Thea and says she's taking the title from Tiffany Stratton next week. Duke's fired up as he goes on about how he and everyone everywhere believes in Thea Hale. Tiffany Stratton says, "Don't make me gag." Tiffany promises to retain next week and that Thea Hale won't make her tap out. And then out of nowhere, Tiffany gets into the ring, and then that allows for Thea Hale to lock in the Kimura lock, and Tiffany Stratton taps out. And then Chase U and Thea Hale celebrate, and Tiffany Stratton rolls out the ring holding her arm. So I do like this. This is okay to add a little bit more heat to everything. This is great. We all know that Thea Hale's not going to win anyway, but it should be an okay match nonetheless. Neither of them are ring veterans, but this should be an okay match. At least give them, I want to say, maybe a good 12 minutes, I think. I think that would be fine. I don't think they should go 15, 20 minutes, no. But I think a good 12 minutes would be fine. But we all know Tiffany's going to retain anyway. So this was an okay little segment. Next. So we see Schism. My bad. Next, we see Schism. Footage of them losing last week. So Joe Gacy is upset with himself, taking the blame for the loss to Mustafa Ali and Tyler Bate and Wes Lee, in the 6-man tag last week. Then Jagged Reed, the guy with the hair, kind of long hair, he has hair like Matt Riddle to an extent. He agrees that Gacy's actions are impacting them all. So Ava then asks Fowler, "How dare you?" And then Gacy agrees with Fowler and thinks and says the diet has been hitting harder than ever, so he will look inside himself at his shortcomings. Gacy goes on and says, "Ava, they will not fall from my bad." Gacy goes on and Ava says they will not fall from one chop. They can't change what happened. 4 roots, 1 tree. And then the dyad and schism, the dyad, they walk off, and then Ava and Gacy, they exchange some looks. So this leads us into Diamond Mine. They're backstage watching what Schism just said, and then Ivy Niles says Schism only won a few weeks back because of Ava's cheap shot. Julius goes on how Schism is a cancer to NXT and a serious threat they need to consider. So I guess they're going to continue the feud with the Creeds and Ivy Nile versus Schism. That's fine. So Diamond Mine versus Schism. That's fine, I guess. Joe Gacy wasn't wrong, though. He has failed the dyad. So, but he sounds like, when he says that, "I failed you," he sounds like a 1980s or 1990s supervillain. He really does. Moving on, a match that I didn't care about, that was the Triple Threat number 1 contenders for the NXT tag titles. It was Briggs and Jensen, Hank and Tank, and Edris Enofe and Malik Blade. My boys won, that being Malik Blade and Edris Enofe. Yes, I am happy. So Blade gets the win via a nice frog splash to Tank for the 1, 2, 3. And this was great. The crowd popped pretty decently for this, and I'm glad that my boys won. This is absolutely perfect. I love this. Great call by one Mr. Shawn Michaels. Great call. This is great. It is. And I hate to say it, I hope that next week, Malik Blade and Edris Enofe, they win. Because we have Gallus in a storyline with Stacks. So there's no need for them to hold down championship gold. Let's just be honest here. They're Gallus. Like, they haven't done jack shit with the titles, if we're being honest. Gallus, they're backstage. They're ready to go to the pub and drink, like they always do. Some of my boys, Angel and Humberto, they show up. And Angel says Gallus is lucky that Los Lotharios wasn't in the triple threat match because they'd be winning the titles next week. Gallus laughs them off and heads to the pub. Okay. Now, what could happen is they might interfere next week, that being Angel and Humberto, Los Lotharios, to maybe cost the maybe to cost Gallus. I don't know. It might happen. Eddie Thorpe, he's backstage with his turntables. Damon Kemp shows up and accuses Thorpe of not wanting to fight. Damon Kemp says he's bringing Raw Underground to NXT in 2 weeks. It'll be Kemp versus Thorpe in a 20-by-20 ring, no ropes. Only way to win is to TKO or submission. And then they issue warnings to each other. Okay. That's fine, I guess. I'm glad that Raw Underground is back for one night. That's pretty cool. They need to bring it back on Raw. Let's just be honest. That would be cool. The third hour would be great. Because that third hour is always shit. We get some more backstage stuff with Roxanne Perez. So, her and Blair Davenport, they're brawling. I think that Roxanne also had a pipe with her, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was a lead pipe. I'm like, damn, that's pretty cool. So, Davenport, she struggles to recover, and then she says it's game on. So, this is okay, I guess. They'll probably end up doing this match maybe in a few weeks. I don't know if they're going to hold it off to the Great American Bash. I don't know if they're going to wait that long for it. Not for this. I mean, this is something that you can do on television. But if you really want to make a statement, I would do this at the Great American Bash. That's what I really would do. Moving on. So Seth Rollins, he's backstage. And he sees his protege, Nathan Frazier. So the crowd popped hard for this. Frazier asks Rollins how he is. He talks about what Finn Balor did, but says he's ready for the night. Rollins goes on about how proud he is of Frazier now that he is the new NXT Heritage Cup champion. Then in comes my boys Carmelo, Trick and Melo. So they show up after Nathan Frazier leaves. They introduce themselves, and there's a tense moment, but they all share a laugh with Rollins. Rollins says he already knows who they are. He was just waiting for them to stop by. So Carmelo comes to show Rollins respect as a champion. Rollins tells Melo to make sure he's ready for Baron Corbin next week. So this was okay. I enjoyed this. I did think that Seth Rollins versus Carmelo would be great. And I do see Carmelo on the main roster probably next year, if we're being honest. Remember, he's been in NXT. He came in, I want to say, 2020. So he's been there a good 3 years. Actually, no. He came in, I think he came in early 2021. If I'm not mistaken. I believe he came in 2021. Anyway, it doesn't matter, but Carmelo will be on the main roster sometime next year. Moving on, this leads us into Cora Jade versus Dana Brooke. So Dana Brooke, somehow, I wasn't paying attention and watching the match at all. So Dana Brooke somehow hurts her knee or whatever. And basically, Cora Jade, she gets her, so Cora Jade gets Dana Brooke in a single leg crab. It was supposed to be a tap chant, but it wasn't, so the referee just calls for the bell. Cora Jade wins via referee stoppage. Like, I don't understand why Dana Brooke didn't tap out. I think that was a dumb decision there. It doesn't make any sense. I hope she's okay. I mean, she was stretchered out, though. Moving on, we got a really good segment here with Von Wagner. Very good. So Von, he brought Mr. Stone to an empty WWE Performance Center because this is where it all began for them when Stone cared about Von when no one else did. So Von talks about the baby photo and how he had a condition when he was born. I forgot what it's actually called. It starts with a T, and it's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't really remember what it is. Anyway, he has that condition when he was born where the growth of his skull was limited. He said he underwent a 14-hour surgery, oh my God, when he was just 15 months old. Doctors didn't know if he would survive, but they cut him ear from ear, pulled his face down, and gave him a life. He talks about how his parents did everything they could. Von recalls how other kids bullied him, and the other parents didn't want him around their kids. Von knows he looks different. Von goes on and says that's enough for today. He thanks Mr. Stone for listening. So this was a powerful segment. Booker T and Vic Joseph did great on commentary for this. This was absolutely great. Kudos to Von. Kudos to him. This is a tremendous story. I love when we peel back the curtain like this and these guys open up, because this is actually tremendous. So I love stuff like this. For some people, this is relatable. And this is just a really good, feel-good story right here. I love it. Being able to come back from hard times is absolutely great. I love this. So kudos to Vaughn for doing this. Absolutely great. Moving on. So Eddie Thorpe, he's in the locker room with Axiom and Scripps. They're talking about how he has 2 weeks to get a training camp together to face Damon Kemp in Raw Underground. Finally, after months and months and all the rumors and stuff, oh, he's not going to stay with WWE. Oh, he's going to do wrestling elsewhere. He's going to, continue doing his wrestling elsewhere. Gable Steveson shows up. And the crowd went wild on this. He says that no one knows his brother like he does. And then he offers to help Eddie Thorpe train for Raw Underground. So they both shake hands. So this is fine here. I'm glad finally that Gable Steveson showed up finally. And this is why I don't understand why the hell they didn't put him in NXT. Why would they put him on the main roster? That was dumb. You should have put him in NXT. His brother is right there, literally. So finally he came to work, finally. So finally they have something for him. So this is good. This is good. What was also good was a back and forth between Baron Corbin and Carmelo Hayes on the mic. This was great. So Corbin says the NXT title does not mean Carmelo has made it. Corbin says Melo looks cool and has swagger, but there's nothing he can say that Corbin hasn't already heard. And there's nothing Hayes can do next week that he hasn't already seen. Carmelo pokes at how Corbin has never held the NXT title and has never had the respect of the people. They go on trading insults and comparing career treatments. Hayes says no matter what, he's still him. Corbin goes on and says, if you have to tell anyone you're him every week and convince yourself you're him, then you're nobody. Then Corbin goes on about Hayes being insignificant. Corbin says this is where he would crack Carmelo's teeth in and leave him laid out, but he doesn't want to do that. And then Carmelo talks some more trash, and then Baron Corbin dips out. So this is fine. Next, Yulisa Leon and Valentina Perez, they're backstage warming up. So Dragon Lee shows up and gives them props for handling Last Legend and Jakara Jackson last week. Dragon Lee says he'll be watching tonight. And then Nathan Frazier shows up and thanks them for helping him have one of the coolest nights of his career last week. They tell him anytime, then they head out. And then Dragon Lee congratulates Nathan Frazier. And then Frazier recalls how Seth Rollins told him to take care of those who help him. Who help you. So he wants to give Lee a title shot next week. They shake on it, and then it's official. So that's pretty cool. Moving on. Gallus, they're in the parking lot. So Mark Coffey and Wolfgang, they head to the pub. While Joe Coffey takes a phone call about some rats or something. So Stacks, out of nowhere, drives up and hits Joe with his car. Then puts him in the trunk and drives off. Nice. I love this. Really good shit right here. Really good shit. Moving on, this leads us into Last Legend and Jakara Jackson versus Yulisa Leon and Valentina Perez. So Last Legend and Jakara Jackson get the win, which is fine. Well, they're calling them the Metaphor, and they have that trademark, so the Metaphor. And then this leads us into the main event. Bron Breakker versus Seth Rollins for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Match was solid. There was a table spot where Seth Rollins hit Bron Breakker with a frog splash through the table. He does a frog splash through the table. Seth Rollins was very over in this match. The finish was, it took not one but two stomps to put down Bron Breakker, which was fine. He hit a spear in the middle of the match, which was great. I thought it was good. And then there was this one spot in the match where he was trying to go for the military press slam on the outside, but Seth Rollins turns that into a super kick, and that's where we get the table spot with the frog splash. Post-match, Rollins celebrates to an extent. Out comes Finn Balor from behind. He beats him down, and this was great. I love this. And then Trick and Melo, they make the save, and then they all have a stare down. Balor and Trick and Melo and Seth Rollins. So this is great. So I like this. This is very good stuff here. Continuing the feud between Rollins and Balor. This is great stuff. Adding more heat to it, which is always a good thing. So I enjoyed this. I think that the finish was great. There was no Ilya involved, which I thought that was going to happen, but it didn't. So this show was solid. But what did you guys think? What did you guys think? Bron Breakker, I think it's time for him to go to the main roster, for sure. Whenever they do the match with him and Ilya, which will probably be at the Great American Bash, he needs to go to the main roster. Preferably after SummerSlam or before SummerSlam. He's ready. He's primed and ready. Gable Stevenson finally coming is great. Malik Blade and Edris Enofe winning, that was great too. So this was a solid episode of NXT. What did you guys think? Please hit the like button, comment down below, and subscribe to my videos. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.